Oh my gosh. From monetizing trauma to Massgate to yet another victim trope, breaking their agreement with the Queen and thereby giving the middle finger to King Charles and the 2-hour grift. Welcome to Paula Froelich Uncensored, where I am breaking down the 5 biggest blunders that Harry and Meghan did down under. And of course, I can't do it alone because I've got my very good friend and amazing royal commentator, Kinsey Schofield, with me. Kinsey, thank you so much for joining me. Let's go to the final ick of this entire thing, which I thought was hilarious because we've spent so much time talking about this. And whoop, there we go. The 2-hour grift.
Oh my God.
I love it so much. I don't
Wait,
know
have
why.
you heard that it was actually just 30 minutes? Because I've been saying 2 hours and someone corrected me saying that it could have just been 30 minutes.
I have. However, here's why I'm going to give some grace, wink, for 2 hours, because I ripped this off of the Hello magazine website, which said she stayed for 120 minutes. It's understood that the organizers of the event, which was held at the Intercontinental Hotel, paid £120,000 for Meghan's appearance, which
Where did they get that? Aren't they broke?
Girl, not only that, what, she gets £1,000 a minute? That is her goddamn rate now?
Yeah,
That
like
is
what?
crackers. I mean, it's £1,000 a minute. That's bonkers. And this is Hello Magazine, which is very friendly towards them. All right.
Yeah,
The gala dinner consisted of Hiramasa kingfish tostada, a vanilla burrata, Riverina Angus beef tenderloin, free range chicken, blah, blah, blah. And during the speech, which was attended by Harry and Marcus Anderson, her bestie.
And Harry's bald spot, which really threw me off. The pictures I saw, I was like, oh, good God, how could you have ever said anything ugly? Yeah, and I think it's fair game here because of what he said about William in Spare.
Yep. Oh, yeah, where he mocked William. But during this speech, Meghan says, I spent all my life investing in women. Can I finally invest in me? Which actually made me gag because I thought, oh, WTF, when hath you invested in women that are other than yourself? And it reminds me of all of these women's groups out there, the big ones that are like, invest in women. And what they really mean is invest in me. Like they use people who want to actually help women. They corral them in and then they're like, back to me and buy my stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's, of course, it's the same thing about people who talk about kindness and they're actually not that nice.
Which is Meghan. You just described a lot of Meghan.
Yes. And I would like to know when she invested in women, because it certainly wasn't with all the women who have worked for her, who have quit and needed mental health. It certainly wasn't
with Catherine when she handed over private text messages for Harry to print and Spare, or allegedly made her cry. Who cares which way around it was? Somebody cried.
And I don't know when she's ever invested. She gave some money to a coffee company, Clever, which went nowhere. And that's not really investing in women.
No, she does.
That's investing in yourself.
She does invest in some female founders like the Purse Company, and we found out that those poor women make like 25 cents an hour to make those purses that go for $600 or $700 a pop. So that's just something she says, that she invests in female founding companies. And she says this and she tries to make this statement because she likes being invited to things like that G7 summit. Where with Jamie Kern-Lima, where Gwyneth Paltrow dodges a photo with her like the plague. It's just one of those things where Meghan says something, but her actions don't match her words. The 40 by 40 theory, or the 40 by 40
oh my God,
campaign that died a very quick death.
Well, Deepak Chopra was part of that. And that is also, ironically, for all of those out there who don't know this, was the original guest at the Interreg Summit that Harry was speaking at, for which he did get paid for Movember and or the Interreg Summit. But I think it's gotta chap his ass a little bit that his rate's 50,000 and Meghan got 150 US, 120.
I think that Harry would be a stay-at-home dad if he could. I don't think that he cares. I think he's just totally content with being a loser. I think that like he
By the
puts
way,
a
not
suit-
that stay-at-home dads are losers if they actually do stuff. But
No,
go
no,
on.
for sure. That's not what I'm saying, but this is a bong smoking, like just wants to wallow in his own misery guy. That I mean, that's not a good Manny. That's nobody wants that guy as your Manny.
You are
Uh,
really turning me on here with this description of this great
I know
guy.
it. It's my understanding that he sits around playing video games.
Mhm.
He still, I
With
think
his
he
bodyguard.
smokes. I think he smokes marijuana. Maybe I don't know about the edibles, but I do believe he's actually I think I've heard about edibles too, but I do think he still smokes marijuana. Like if that could be his life, I think is in surfing, I think that that would be his life, but that's not what Meghan signed up for.
Right.
I think Meghan would be repulsed by him if that's all he did. I think he puts the suit and tie on, because he realizes he would lose her if he just sat around at home. But I don't think he has any desire. In fact, every body language expert I talk to about Harry on these stages say that he's jumping out of his own body. He's become more anxious and more
Oh,
uncomfortable in the years since marrying Meghan than he was when he was a working royal doing the same job.
well, that's what happens when you're bored to tears.
Yeah.
And I think it's super sad because, it's obvious that he wants to spend half the year in England, spend much more time back with the life he used to know, but that he can't ever really go back to. It's bizarre. And also the other thing about this 2-hour grift is that, you know, everyone thought that she was going to be there for the weekend. She wasn't, but also apparently only around 119 people were there instead of the 300 that were there were
Sold
300
out, Paula,
tickets
sold out,
sold
sold
out,
out.
which also is hilarious because Gemma up on the besties Instagram had put up, we still have rooms left, only
Mhm.
only a few, right before. And of course Meghan's people call were like, take that down, and so it was taken down, but not before I got a screenshot. But it was bizarre. It's like what they say is their reality and their truth to, talk in Montecito speak. But here's what the rest of us see. And it's almost like they're asking us, who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes?
Yeah, but
And
that's why I'm so grateful for Sophie Shandaka, because now we might see Harry in a position for the first time in his life where he's actually held accountable and has to explain and talk explain himself and dissect some of his previous statements and actions in a court of law. And
yeah,
we've never, whether he's sitting in front of Tom Bradby, Anderson Cooper, Oprah Winfrey, no one's ever pressed him on his statements and challenged him. And this might be the first time, although I think he'll settle like a little bitch, this might be the first time where he has to actually explain himself. And I'm sorry, but my truth, which we might see here with the Daily Mail trial, my truth is not acceptable in a court of law. Ultimately, it's the truth that matters.
right.
And this could be really interesting for people like yourself and myself that have covered the lies for the last 6 years and want to see him held accountable
Mhm.
for some of his irresponsible behavior and for that line between my truth and the truth.
Well, it's funny that you say that about accountability because, everyone on the internet is like, well, whoever is willing to spend 3,100 Aussie dollars freaking deserves what they got. But then again, not that many people showed up and they were mocked by the Australian media. So check this out. This is appeared in the Australia Sun Herald, I believe, and it's pretty amazing. The cartoonist
Amazing.
has been going off on them. There's also another cartoon he did where, Harry's kind of kicking a ball, and there's Queen Mary of Denmark, who, by the way, had come just a month or two earlier. No big whoop, just came to see her home country, and also kicked a soccer ball at the same thing, but she's basically got her leg all the way up here and doing like a full on kick, not like a little Manny boy kick. So I do actually think there is some accountability in the fact that Australians did not really show up for them unless they were corralled, like at the hospital or at the Movember event. And by the way, didn't see any photos of Movember event or the Interedge Summit, which, by the way, they had to cut prices on the tickets, FYI, because they were not selling the full price tickets.
Which also gives credibility to Tom Bauer's story about Invictus, how Harry and Meghan show up late. They ask people to physically move and surround themselves around Harry and Meghan so they can take a photo, and then Harry and Meghan pop back up and exit the building, and aren't really there to support the players of the Invictus Games.
Well, they're not there to support anyone, are they? They showed up at Bondi, supposedly spoke to some Jewish survivors, laughed and giggled on the beach, which, by the way, that is a horrific massacre site. It's like showing up to Auschwitz, setting up a shop, and making jokes.
Gross.
No, thank you.
I'm going to vomit in my mouth.
And then they go straight from Bondi, where they're like, giggle, giggle, buy my clothes. They go straight to Sydney Harbor. Then they, may or may not have caught a game. Then they go back on the plane and they're out and patting themselves on the back for a job well done. And the rest of us are just going, who in the hell do you think you are? I mean, family right now has got to be banging their heads against walls.
I know you have a ton of contacts over in Australia too, but one thing that my contact in Australia said to me that I think is, once you, just after digesting what you just said, once you hear what he said, you're like, oh, he said, we don't get a lot of major stars that give us access, like the morning shows. I do a lot of, I think 7 over there. And whenever I'm at their studio here in LA, there are celebrities with the Hollywood backdrop. And I mean, it looks just like my setup, but like they love talking to celebrities, but it's usually over, it's typically over satellite. And so he was like, we just don't get a lot of big names around here. So it's like less about who they are and more about the fact that like we don't have this kind of access to people around here. Well, and I wondered how much of that that the Sussexes knew and kind of took advantage of. They knew it would look good despite being pretty mediocre.
Well, here's the deal. I don't want to knock your source, but at the same time they were there, Pamela Anderson was there. And Pamela Anderson was speaking to sold out crowds of thousands. Oh, really? So yeah.
I love Baywatch. I get that. Like I know mouth to mouth because of her.
And one of the reasons why she sold out is she is truly authentic. She truly was bullied for decades, called a whore, called a slut, a porn star, all this stuff. And she survived with grace. And it's just kind of, it's just infuriating to me because one of the reasons they were there, also the reason Pamela was there, Pamela's got stuff to sell. She also has a home line. She also has a skincare line that she is selling, but she is also selling her story of actually surviving and is authentic.
And again, she has a resume where she's actually accomplished something. Meghan Markle was on one show, and it's not like that show was Baywatch. I'm sorry. Baywatch was an international success. And it was on at a time where we all stopped what we were doing and watched, like the whole country stopped what they were doing and watched Baywatch at the same time. That doesn't exist anymore with Netflix and all this other stuff. Like people stumbled upon Suits years after it was on air. And okay, it was like, and only because we were all locked inside of our homes against our wills because of a deadly plague. But I just feel like, there's no comparison between Harry and Meghan and Pamela Anderson. Harry is who he is because of his DNA. And Meghan is who she is because of who she married. It's like nepotism just doesn't compare to somebody that made it big through hard work and consistency.
100%. And also the thing is that she's looking at Australia as like, oh, I'm going to try it out here, soft lunch. And I'm going to do this. And Australians are gullible. And they're so nice and friendly. Remember, they loved us in 2018. So we're going to go there and show everyone how loved we are. And then we're going
to try to do it in Britain, and Britain's going to hate us.
Yeah, it's just
Britain's going to boo us.
It's insane. It's this disaster tourism, as Justine Bateman called it, and rightly so in my mind. And this entire tour was so bizarre. And it's the funniest thing is I think they think it was a huge success, even though, I mean, I give One Off maybe a year. Why are you going to go to One Off when Phoebe Gates already has a great platform and her dad's Bill Gates? She knows what the hell she's doing. And
when we see through the performative activism, it's been years, you know. If you don't see through the performative activism, then I wonder about what are you not saying? How are you not saying what we're saying? I mean, I
know it's just like I will never get over Bondi Beach. That's all I have to say. But Kinsey, thank you so much for joining me. I really, really appreciate you. You know I love you. Stay backstage because I want to hang out with you in a hot second. Okay.
Okay.
And guys, I just want to say thank you so much. Now remember, hit that subscribe button because it still boggles the mind that y'all show up. And I love you. Thank you so much for showing up. I really, really appreciate you. And then you forget to subscribe. And please do this way you will get an alert every single time I do one of these. And if you want the information delivered straight to your inbox, go to my Substack, Paula Froelich Uncensored. Sign up. You'll get all sorts of exclusives. Boop, 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 right into your mailbox as it happens. And again, you guys, I want to say thank you. I really appreciate you. And drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Also, let me know what you want me to cover next. Okay. And this week, I've got a huge exclusive with Isabel Vincent. Oh my God, you guys are going to die. It's not Royals. Sorry. It's RFK Jr. She did an amazing expose and we talk all about it. That is coming out, I believe. I'm going to drop it on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, but you'll know if you subscribe. Bye.